Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Hello and welcome again. Yeah, today we are back. We don't face the problems with the tiny little things. That is what I was reporting about during the last two episodes. Today it's about securing safety, the role of HILTI Threaded Sleeves in flood protection. Yes, I thought really I should spend a moment to talk about it, because we always realize and observe that there is a kind of confusion when we talk to customers, and I want to clarify things, and because it's about the safety, and there is a huge difference, I tell you. So screws, bolts, anchors, it's all the same. Is it true? What is the difference, and why the safety of your family might depend on this knowledge? So, and HILTI Threaded Sleeves, what is that? Why might my life depend on them? And so I will bring you in touch with the world of safety, technically said, with the world of anchoring systems. Perhaps you might ask, do you need that? Do I need that for flood protection? And my answer is very clear. Yes, you do. You do. So let's start. First of it, perhaps you might ask, why do I need it? Let's do it this way. I ask you one question. Do you remember when you were in a high-rise building last time? Me, it was. Perhaps you remember very well. Me, it was in December 2023 in Qatar in Doha at the Kempinski Residences and Suites. There are many Kempinski or several Kempinski buildings. So the Kempinski Residences and Suites. It's near the city center, and it's the tallest tower in West Bay. So you can overlook the Arabian Gulf and indoors the diplomatic area. We have been, I think, if I remember well, at the 61st floor. So I recommend you, whenever you are in Doha, go there in the late afternoon. Don't go there in the evening hours on Friday or Saturday. That is really full, but it's also huge. So you can also do that. But the thing is, when we have been there, that was about 10 p.m., 11 p.m. or something like that. It was dark, of course, and because of the fog outside, so there was a humidity, so you could not see well the environment. But at this time, normally you don't go there to appreciate the environment. You want to have your drink, play some, do some sports, some darts or whatever. Watch the sports at the television screens. But that is not what I want to tell you. That was at the Kempinski Residences and Suites, and best view in West Bay, the tallest building, I said already. And the thing is, this building is, of course, very tall and very huge. So even at the top, there is a small moving. If you have ever been, or I can ask you the question, have you ever been on top of a distillation column in a chemical plant? On a refinery, normally chemical plant, they are higher. Most probably not. most of you, but I was, because I long ago I worked for chemical industry, and so it happened quite often that I had to climb on top of these columns, distillation columns. So what is that? These chimneys? Perhaps you know that from the movies, or when you drive around and you pass by a refinery or chemical plant. In Kuantan, for instance, BASF or BAS, how they call it in Brazil, in Kuantan in Malaysia, there's a huge plant. Nanjing in China, Ludwigshafen, that's the headquarters of BASF, how we call it in Germany, BASF, I cannot pronounce that. So Bayer is another plant. So there are many manufacturers, or several manufacturers like that. And of course, the refineries as well. And then you see these chimneys. And when you go on top, so 50 meters, 60 meters, 70 meters, they are moving. The diameter is between 3 meter, 4 meter. The largest was 9.5 meter. I was the one who was providing everything what is inside. So there's a kind of honeycomb inside, and you just separate liquids from each other that we can have all our daily life. Because without these liquids, no chemicals. Without chemicals, no life as we know it. Very, very easy. And that's what they do in these columns. And the biggest one was a styrene column, so 9.5 diameters. But I'm not talking about this one. I talk about these asparaguses, these small, more tiny columns, like this Kempinski Residences and Suites building. What was not really tiny, but already huge. 61 meters, that is already relatively high compared to the others. So, and these distillation columns, they move. That means you have a movement of about 1 or 2 meters at the top. At the top, not at the bottom, of course. That's not moving. And 2 meters perhaps is too much, but it's moving. It's moving, and that is what you can feel. And now the question is the foundation strong enough that this tower, that this distillation column, or the tower of the building with a bar on top, is not falling down, or is not breaking, is not damaged? And the answer is you need a very good foundation. Remember the story of the Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur when they were built. I think they used, they used 2 contractors to speed them up a little bit and to see who finished first. And I think they finished almost at the same time and in time. And as far as I know. But the real work was not the high-rise building. The real work was a foundation, with all this anchoring system to make sure that the building is stable, and whatever happens, whatever kind of wind force is hitting the towers, they will not move, they will not fall down, because the anchoring is stable. And that is why you, when it comes to anchoring system, you need to know what is an anchor, what is a screw, what is a bolt. That is very primarily for your design and the way how you fasten materials together. So, in brief, screws, and by the way, why do I tell you that? Because in flood protection, we also use that. We also need that. And you might say, I only plug in some barriers in between my door. Yeah, for a normal house door, it might be true. You only have a side channel at the left, at the right side. You insert some, we call it demountable flood barriers. You don't need any middle support. What will you do when you have a double swing door? Okay, you might say, then I have an opening width of about, let me say, 2 meters. You still can plug in one aluminum beam, one span. We call it a span. So, and perhaps if you want to protect you by about 900 centimeters, almost 1 meter, you need. Our barriers are 300 millimeters high. You need 3 of these barriers. You staple them. And they have a horizontal and vertical seal that everything is working well. They are certified by the world's biggest insurance company, but that's not what I want to talk about. But what if you want to protect your garage and you have 2 cars inside? So it's a garage for 2 cars. So the opening width is 5 meters. Why do I know that? Because my garage in Germany is exactly 5 meters. Has an opening width for 2 cars, 5 meters. All right. Now, do you want to have a demountable barrier 5 meters long? I don't think so. It's quite uncomfortable. I always call it the Buster Keaton situation, because these films at the end of the 20s, or in the middle of the 20s, without audio, without sound in Hollywood yet. And they had these funny situations when always you saw these workers with these wooden planks running around and turning and then always hitting somebody. And Buster Keaton was a star in Hollywood at this time. So that's why I call it the Buster Keaton situation. So you probably don't want to have such a situation at your garage, because you also have to store these long spans. So where do you store them? You need space. Normally people don't have such a space to hang these 5 meter long spans or 6 meter long spans at the wall. So that is why you cut them into 2 pieces. So 2 times 2.5 meters. And so then you install them. But be careful. In the middle, you need to insert a middle post, a middle support. Why? Because, if not, it's not watertight. So, and this middle support must be attached to the ground. And here we are back. That the attachment is as similar as it is for a distillation column, or as it is for a lantern, or the street lights, or the Kuala Lumpur Twin Tower. Of course, their foundation is a little bit different, but they have also an anchoring system. And the same for this Kempinski residences and suites building in Doha West Bay, where I have been at the bar in the 61st floor. So everything is attached very well at the ground. And so what can you use? You can use screws, but screws typically have a tapered thread that covers the entire length of the shaft. I tell about that another time. It's too boring for all of you. So what you need is instead of these tiny screws you use at home for some small repairs, you use bolts, and these bolts are they have a cylindrical and flat shaft with a uniform thread, and they are more heavier. So that means that is what you use. And we use HILTI Threaded Sleeves. That is a kind of anchor. It is an anchoring system. So first you have to drill to the ground. You need a drill hole, and then you insert this HILTI Threaded Sleeve. It's not a bolt. It is just the opposite. It's a female part what you insert. So it's about 150, 200 millimeters long, depending what you use, and M16, M20, M20, 24. So that's the size of these anchors. And that's what we're using. And then you connect it with a concrete by using chemical adhesive. So that will connect it very hard, and you cannot take it out anymore. And now you can put your middle support on this drill hole. Of course, there's a base plate. This base plate you place exactly at your drill hole. You have 4 drill holes for the base plate. Right? At every corner there's one. And then you need some screws. You don't need screws. You need bolts. And these bolts is an M16, M20, M24 one. And then you attach it. So Hexcom bolts, for instance. And that is heavy duty. We have seen some flood protection barriers, and they were using really screws. I called it junior screws, and that is ridiculous when it comes to water pressure. It might even withstand water pressure, but what if there is a floating debris and there's an impact? That means the barriers also must work when there is an impact. And when you see the television, the news from flooding all over the world, what kind of things, what type of things are swimming in the water when it comes to flooding. So all these things are bumping against your barrier, and imagine you only have tiny screws. My goodness. That is why we use these HILTI Threaded Sleeves, and HILTI is a brand. I don't get a commission for that, so that's not why I mentioned it. But I tell you, that is why we use it for safety, 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 safety. Did I say already safety? Safety. And that's good. Liechtenstein, Swiss, German quality. So, and it's widely used on all construction sites. These are these red cases with a white HILTI on it. But most probably you have seen it already. They also have drilling machines, core drilling machines, a lot of tools for construction. So best quality. Consequences, you're always safe. And these barriers that I recommend are always designed for the worst case. That is why our barriers are are certified by FM Global, the world biggest insurance company for industrial and commercial buildings from Boston, USA, but operating worldwide. And that is a difference between barriers that are not certified. So if ever you choose some barriers, look for a certification and check them. Go to the site, go to the showroom, look to it, touch the barriers, touch the anchors, and ask for the anchoring system. And that is what customers sometimes don't do. They simply forget the safety. That's what I wanted to share with you today. And that is the role of HILTI Threaded Sleeves and flood protection. And I hope that you ask when you start, the moment you start your flood protection project, ask for the anchoring system. That is one of the most important things. The best flood barrier cannot work if the foundation system, the anchoring system, is not perfect. The Kempinski residence and suites high-rise building in Doha, West Bay, cannot properly stand without a good foundation, without not a basement, a foundation. And this foundation goes really deep. And the Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur will never stand and would never have been the highest buildings in the world for several years without a good foundation. These anchors are very long. They are longer than our HILTI Threaded Sleeves, but that's necessary. And the distillation column I mentioned in chemical plants can never be built so high if there is not a very good construction. That means they have very good anchoring systems, because at the end of the day, you attach your metallic parts, these vertical parts, and whether it is a middle support, it is a Twin Tower, it is a Kempinski residences and suites building, or a distillation column. You must attach these metallic parts to the ground, to the soil where you have put in and poured your cement inside, or your concrete. So that's it. So just ask your supplier, what kind of anchoring system do you use for your flood protection? Stay safe and flood free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.floodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering, German quality, safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.